Yep. Ride with it. Yes. That right there. Damn, you can really hear the gum being chewed in my mouth. Gum chewing, because today is actually day 14, 15, 16. Day 17.
I was wondering, I was like, that's not normal. I don't think chewing gum is like something you always do.
Chewing gum is not something I normally do, and I feel like the compression is really going to give you a lot of smacking of the gum in this, but
my bad for moving the mic there.
It's okay.
Noise. I'm sorry.
Right, as soon as I said smacking the gum, it's like dum dum dum. It's like, damn, what kind of gum are you chewing? Is that fucking marble bowling ball gum? But no, it is actually a fancy schmancy kind of gum that's sugar-free lemon bar gum by Wrigley's. It tastes like lemon bars. There's like lemon bar cookie desserts.
Right. Not lemon, but lemon bars.
Yeah, which is kind of what you spit.
I don't know if that's an insult or a compliment.
It's like a classic like URL battle type thing. You sweeter than lemon bars. You sound so soft, it's like you've been hemming bars. I'm Ernest hemming bars. Nah, but here we are down in San Diego. I decided to come down here for 2 days, hang out with my family. Herbal T, his wife, his 2 kids, Max and Manny, who are asleep right now. Hopefully we're not being too loud and waking them up. But we just did the kind of freestyled version of Wax's podcast intro on classical guitar and ukulele.
Yeah, it was about 1 minute of preparation. Let's full disclosure here. We're not going straight off the top. We did figure out the chords and the melody. And then, Wax here, it's just such a musical genius that he doesn't even play the ukulele, but he still manages to...
I mean, if you play one string of the ukulele, it's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? It's the same fucking thing. All stringed instruments, it's just like if you learn to skateboard, you kind of have an advantage in snowboarding over people who have never skateboarded.
You still have the muscle memory, as they call it.
Yes.
How to coordinate between the left and the right. And then with the ukulele, if you're playing one string, it's still the same. Crickets.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you saying something? I fell asleep due to boredom.
FOH.
Nah, but I shouldn't be falling asleep due to boredom, because what I should be doing, and I guess I kind of am, doing this. I should be having a special episode of Wax's podcast. You know why? Do you know why?
Oh, yeah, I know. I didn't think about it. I guess we should have done something. Well, the intro was special.
The intro was special. Today lives in infamy with many special days in the history of the earth. 9/11.
Oh, Jesus.
The bombing of Pearl Harbor.
The Hindenburg.
The day that Neil Armstrong, quote, landed on the moon.
Yeah.
I'm saying all these things because all these things are fake. I'm talking about all the things that were faked in
I got
history.
you now. Yeah.
9/11, the moon landing, Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor, yeah.
No, I'm just fucking around, man. But what I am not fucking around about, and what is not faked, because we are currently doing it at this very moment. Unless we're like some Illuminati Wax and Herbal T ghosts, we are recording Wax's podcast episode 50. Yes. What is that? That's silver? Is that the silver anniversary?
I was thinking of, how there's a centennial and bicentennial. What is the half centennial? Is that even,
What's half? Like if there's bi and tri.
Try. I don't know. Man.
Cent.
It's like if something is bi-weekly, it means every other week.
Mm-hmm.
That's why bicentennial is two centennial. But I don't know the half.
What if it happens twice a week?
Twice weekly.
You just say it happens twice a week.
Yeah.
We did it's 50 episodes. If And that's not like, normally you would be like, if it's a weekly podcast, like, you'd be like, damn, 2 more and we're doing the year anniversary.
No,
not Wax's
like
podcast.
Not on Wax's podcast.
It's just probably like the 5-year anniversary.
Yeah.
You know?
You got to take an average. It's a weekly podcast, but on average, what would you say? It's a monthly podcast?
I think if
not
you,
that bad.
Honestly, I think if you averaged it every time. Well, when was the first one?
I could find probably.
Man, that's a mathematical equation we don't need to do. But I'd probably say once every 2.5 weeks, I probably have done a podcast. Because the first like 20 or 30 of them, I was pretty good about it, I think.
2.5.
But when I went on tour, like I didn't do one for like fucking
months.
3 months.
You missed a couple months, and then it was like people thought it was dead, Mike.
People thought the podcast was done, but guess what?
Was no more. But
guess what? Those people thought. They could think whatever they want, Chris.
I suppose they could.
They could think whatever they want because the podcast lives on. The podcast not only lives on in reality, it lives on in our spirits. It lives on in our hearts. It lives on in the hearts of men that fought the wars before us. And it lives on in the hearts of our children that go on after us to carry our legacy about this great world. However long it may last. Speaking of, I've been watching mad I have Netflix, you know, and especially since I haven't been drinking or smoking. Day 17, fucking crazy.
Jesus.
Crazy. I'm driving myself nuts. I watch mad Netflix, and for some reason, like, I don't get into TV shows. I don't get into, like, real movies. I always end up watching, like, fucking 9/11 was fake documentaries, or Our World is Coming to an End documentaries, or Our Monetary System is a Ponzi Scheme documentaries, which it is and shit, but, like...
Sure, but I mean, you know, you could easily say that just about anything is a scheme or something, you know?
Or things suck, you know? Life is fucked up and the world is fucked up, but really what I should be focused on is just trying to have a good time while I'm here, right?
Yeah, I watch those kind of documentaries sometimes, but I don't know, man. I used to read books like that, like serious, like not as much conspiracy theory shit, but just like lots of history books, and I still do. Well, my version of it now is like if I get bored, I'll go and look up the Wikipedia of a random country and read all their history. And,
you do that?
I do that. Like when I'm like either like last night I couldn't get to sleep, so I was like I don't feel like looking at Twitter or Facebook or some bullshit like that. So I was like just kind of thought in my mind like I don't know which one. What could I look up? And I read the Wikipedia of Iceland, the country. So I did that last night, and that's the kind of shit that for some reason I can read. And I know Wikipedia just by definition is not a good source, but it's still like for the basic information of something you don't know anything about. You know what I used to read.
It's weird. I was just talking. I was just at somebody's house last night that I was at. They had a world map on their wall, and I was looking at Iceland, and it's weird how like. It's just situated right there. I was talking about Iceland last night. That's interesting. How was the history of Iceland like worth reading?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, you heard it here first on Wax's podcast, y'all. That's a recommendation coming to you live from Herbal T. Follow him on Twitter, which he said. Don't worry, he said Twitter and Facebook are bullshit, but follow him at Herbal T is great for more awesome recommendations. The first one being the history of Iceland.
That's the worst. I used to read. I got into reading the history of random small island countries because they're always real fucking weird and interesting. And not that I guess Iceland sort of is like that in a sense because it is an island country that's kind of weird. But
are they kind of like the majority of people in Iceland are still like fucking descendants of whoever the originators of Iceland were? Is that
Iceland was originally not? It was uninhabited.
Oh,
and the
shit.
people who first came there, well, actually, not. It's the worst shit ever. But it was like 800 or 900, the people from Norway, and then they had slaves that were from, at that time, Scotland and Ireland. Like, the Norse people had those people as slaves. We're going to hear airplanes going by every once in a while. That's okay. But
they're like shooting stars.
Supposedly...
We should pretend that they're like...
Airplanes in the night sky.
Don't they say we... Oh, let me pretend that airplanes in the night stars and
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember.
Anyway,
I started singing that because it was more interesting than your history of Iceland.
It's way more interesting.
I'm just fucking with you.
We should definitely move on from the history of Iceland.
Now you started. They came over. They had
talking mad shit about the history of Iceland.
They had slaves from Ireland and
Scotland. They
came
there.
White slaves.
Yeah. And yeah, then those people stayed there, and the culture of Iceland, I guess, is over a long time the combination of the Norway with some of that Scottish and Irish, and supposedly there were some monks from either Ireland or Scotland that were there before the Norway people that left once they got there. The Norway people, the Norwegian people, or Norse people, as they were known.
But they were like
then.
Vikings, right? Or no?
Yeah. They were like in that era of the Viking exploration of like, what's his name, Leif Erikson and all those dudes.
They had like Viking hats.
I don't know what kind of headwear
the kind with like tusks, like Hagar the Horrible, that had tusks that
just
stuck,
like that,
stuck
just
outward,
like that. Just like that,
outward tusks. That now, you know, modern day Vikings still wear those kind of hats, except they take a beer can and they just put it down really hard on the tusk and it crushes it, and the tusk actually is hollow in the middle and it has a straw sticking out. So it's kind of like
sounds awesome.
It's kind of like a combination of the old and the new.
Yeah.
It's like one of those beer helmets, except it's also a Viking helmet. Mm-hmm. No slaves anymore, though.
No, especially none from Scotland. Or
Are you insinuating there's other places where that slaves should be
No,
from?
but I'm saying if they enslaved
like
people now, it would probably be somewhere else. That'd be more likely. Whatever.
Where would that be?
Somewhere where they have more slavery than in those countries, like where they have sweatshops or something.
A poorer country is what you're saying.
More or less. Somewhere with sweatshops and or...
less access to things.
Maybe sexual slavery, like a sex tourism industry or something like that.
You think our fucking world is going down the drain?
I don't know, man.
Because even all the people that you're talking about right now that work in sweatshops, but let me put it this way, and this is all based on like shit from the kind of documentaries I've been watching. But a lot of these documentaries have a lot of truth. And what I'm going to say is there's a lot of truth in it. Take a place like India. Mm-hmm. A place like India has a lot of people, and it's steadily moving upward. As far as, you know, the way that the Western people see things, it's moving upward. More people have cars. More people have houses. The jobs are good. Everybody works in tech. So now there's going to be a gazillion more cars. You know, now we got to build roads and buildings. Yeah. Pollution. Like, they don't even have the standards over there that we have. The pollution's even worse. You know what I mean?
There's also,
if everything gets like that, we're gonna be fucked, right? We're gonna run out of resources.
First of all, there's so many things I could say to that, Mike. But first of all, to realize how many people there are in that area of the world, like there's a shitload of them, and the idea that their
like
GDP,
Mumbai and whatnot, has
their
like
GDP is going up and people are getting jobs, and we think of them all as like tech industry workers. It's not really true. Like the inequality there is ridiculous. Just like a lot of places like India, like Brazil or Mexico, it's like, yeah, there's when, like in Mexico, there's the factory jobs that came up after NAFTA, and people are like, it's just kind of a classic catch-22. It's like, are you kind of trapped in these either factory or tech support jobs, depending on where you're at, where they're sort of like better than your other alternatives, but they're also the people who ultimately run those places are generally still like American or Western European countries.
Well, if you watch the movie Ethos, which is an addendum to Zeitgeist, you know
I have not seen either of those. No.
You should watch them.
Zeitgeist, I've heard about that.
The problem with them
is I'm surprised I've never seen.
They're extremely long movies. They're like 3 hour long movies, but the Ethos one, the second one, it's like kind of explains that the GDP of a country is a very misleading.
And just the word growth. When people talk about growth. You're looking at like a certain percentage, like, you know, you look at your whatever country and you're like, oh, they had 6% growth this year, but like that's just a fucking one big number. And I mean, that shit is happening in the U.S., man. Like inequality is worse here than it used to be. And your whole point that you were saying originally about is the world in general like fucked in the sense that you're talking about, where we're just gonna have like. I would say people are generally too scared of overpopulation and too paranoid about that shit. Like people who are like, we need to just have another plague. But there is some issues there, especially in that area of the world with India and China. But I feel like the world's always been fucked up. Like we think it's fucked up now, but it was fucked up in 1960. It was fucked up in 1860. It was fucked up. Like it just depends on your perspective. I mean, we're not. there's shit that was going on a couple hundred years ago that we don't do. But, you know, we may not have institutionalized slavery in most of the world, but, you know, it's that we have our own evils of this time period.
But if you go ahead in time 1,000 years, we're fucked, right? You think 1,000 years from now, you think 1,000 years from now, there's still human beings inhabiting the planet, and even the kind of bliss that you would consider we have now, even in that kind of like.
No, there will be humans. If I had to predict, yes, there will be humans. The problem is, I think what you're alluding to, which is different than what I was saying, is the big problem is that since the Industrial Revolution, technology has gotten so crazy and advances so fast that with us being able to have the types of weapons that we have and the ability we didn't have before, even when it was like, you know, Genghis Khan days and the days of where
you can't destroy the world with shit like that.
Nah, you can go and raid all the villages and kill and rape everybody or whatever, but you're not going to destroy the whole entire world doing that without a crazy fucking army. Even then, I mean, you're not going to literally fucking blow up the world. And now if we put our mind to it, we could fucking destroy the entire world. And I mean, that's not even considering just like environmental stuff that we're doing.
I also look at it like I've heard people talk about this, and I agree with them 100%. And have you ever heard Carl Sagan's the cosmic second? You ever heard that theory?
That's the
theory.
It's
not a theory. That's not
that's the math where the whole entire year, the very last second of the year is when we came.
For anybody listening to this that doesn't know what we're talking about, it's like this: if the history of the planet, the billions or whatever the fuck millions or however long the planet's been around, if that was equivalent to a year, the amount of times that human beings period have been on the planet is equal to 1 second. It's December 31st. At 11:59 seconds. That's the amount of time that human beings have been on the Earth. And look how bad we fucked it up. So I look at it like in the grander scheme of things, human beings to the Earth, because like if the universe is infinite, then the Earth is just this tiny little fucking sand particle, you know? Or whatever, this little tiny living being. Mm-hmm. And I look at human beings as cancer.
Yeah.
They're just cancer on the fucking Earth, and you can see it. You can, like... You know, what used to be this beautiful fucking babbling brook where nature lived in harmony with itself is now this fucking city with fucking... Like when you fly over an urban area, it looks like a sore, like a scab. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that shit is true. I'm not saying that we're bad people, but I'm saying that it's just something that happened. That's just what happened. You know, we're clearly sucking out the resources of the fucking planet.
Yeah,
we literally when you drive around and you see an oil field, it's like a fucking mosquito just sucking blood. That's what it's like. That's
exactly what
it is. Fucking sucking the life out of the
planet.
And
I don't know shit about like
we don't even come close to living in harmony with the planet at all.
I think there's probably,
it's only getting worse in my opinion.
I don't know anything about really oil and gas and stuff like that, but I would imagine that because human beings have always throughout history thought that they know everything. And then we come to find out that everything we thought was true is not.
Yeah.
You know, such as the Earth being flat, or such as like things like communicable diseases that we thought were like fucking evil spirits or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I think at this point, we sucked all the oil and gas and natural resources out of the ground, thinking that there's no consequences really, and like maybe the worst consequences, it's going to run out one day. But I think there's probably some adverse other shit that like if you're sucking. Like, you're talking about millions of barrels of oil a day. Like, to me, I'm just picturing, like, these big hole... Like,
you're saying there's even consequences beyond just the fact that we don't have it anymore. You're saying the actual...
I'm saying the actual, like, if you're taking that much stuff out of the Earth, I'm picturing these, like maybe that's contributing to the stability of the Earth, and it'll cause more earthquakes. I have no idea. I mean, I'm not a scientist or whatever, a seismologist or an oil industry person or whatever. But my point is that there's probably some side effects that we don't know about. You know,
seismologist, eh? I mean, you must be a scientist just to even know the term seismologist.
No.
Eon's mom is a seismologist.
Seismologist.
Both were terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that it's gonna be fucked up, man. That's what I think. I think it goes beyond the oil. I think it goes more to the effect that like we just don't give a fuck, you know?
Yeah, and
nobody cares. People really don't care about like the future.
No.
And when you tell people about the oil running out, they'll be like, oh well, you know, they're gonna figure out how to get, you know, they're gonna figure out blah blah blah. Like no, they're not. Not in time. Not in time for shit to get fucked up.
People will figure out the alternatives to oil, but they won't figure out what to do about the adverse consequences, the adverse unforeseen consequences of our extraction of oil and all the damage.
Speaking of, this reminds me, I had a list of topics for the podcast that I had randomly thought of that I was going to talk about last week, but since T-Rex came on, we just kind of talked. And
yeah, we shouldn't talk about this depressing world end shit the whole time.
Well, the first thing on my list actually had to do with it, and it was the thought that we could solve world hunger by feeding all the dead corpses to starving children.
Okay, that's horrible.
Why? There's dead corpses, sources of food. What are they? We just put them in the ground? You know what I mean? Like, why don't we just fucking
I
make
definitely
some
think
steaks?
that I definitely can see that putting corpses in the ground is kind of a waste. That we should just maybe cremate everybody or something like that. But isn't it?
No, you can't feed. I mean, you can't really feed human flesh to humans. But I don't know. There's something there.
There's no. I mean, if you take all the ethics out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, ethically, there's the issue, and then there's like, you know, if you're poor and you've been raised on human flesh, there might be other people bullying you about it, you know, because that's the big topic these days. But you have a you like if you find an animal that's already been dead, aren't you not supposed to eat them? Like, you need them to be killed, and then they cut them up and pack them up. Or it would probably be dependent on what the person died of too. You couldn't eat a diseased person.
Well, with animals, it depends what animal it is too. If you eat a crab from the Chesapeake Bay, it's like they have to be alive when you cook them.
Right.
But I don't know, dude. Let's
move
on to something else.
I don't think that's going to work out, bro.
Else.
I don't think that's going to be that's going to take.
My next thing on my list was inspired by. I have two different things on my list that were inspired by people I came across while I was at a restaurant or cafe. First one, titties go a long way. The girl at the coffee shop behind the desk, she didn't have much else to offer. Mm-hmm. Like she wasn't obese, she wasn't like fat. Like her body was normal, her face was normal, her ass was normal. Everything about her was extremely normal. But that she had like extremely nice titties. And I was thinking, like, what if she didn't have any? If she was exactly the same. And she didn't have those titties, it'd be like a very different ballgame as far as the way that people, especially males, would look at her.
Yeah, I mean, I can't dispute that. In the specific case, I'd probably have to see this girl to provide more insight. But no, that's true. There's girls like that have or ass. Ass could be the same thing.
Maybe it's less about just titties. And more about, like, if you have one thing that's good, I guess you can, I don't know, this is kind of sexist to talk about, but, you know, you should exploit it if you want to. I don't know. I don't even know what my point with writing that down was.
No, but girls do that.
I think the girl's titties were just so nice that it made me want to write something down.
Yeah.
I just wanted to fucking write about them, you know? They were so nice when I was like, God damn. And they were all fucking...
There's a girl
and there's a way to present... the titties should be presented. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't want to not to digress too much, but there's this coffee / sandwich shop under where I work in the same building, and there's this girl who I just remember this guy. His name is John, and the last name begins with a Z, so everybody calls him Jay-Z. And like he had been flirting with this girl at the coffee shop, and you know, he's like, yeah, you know, she's not that great looking, but she's got a really nice rack. And
he talks like that.
Yeah, he talks like that. And like completely unrelated to that. That's just what brought it to me. But this girl always wore a bandana and had all these neck tattoos. And one day, like, this other guy from my work is like, that Jay-Z is telling her about this. He's like, oh, you mean the Nazi girl? And like it turns out, like then we this was a couple months back. Like we went down there and like kind of looked at her tattoos, and she has these like, she has this big tattoo on her neck that says, I didn't know anything about fucking Nazi gang prison tattoo type shit.
Right.
It says 1488, which upon Googling is like a white supremacist thing. And she had some other stuff that are like sort of hidden swastikas. And so now we always fuck with this dude Jay-Z and like and like just, you know, like the suit Nazi, like we call her the sandwich Nazi,
right,
and like, you know, and he's part Jewish and everything, and he'd been hitting on her, and like supposedly she was kind of like they were almost at the point where he was like gonna ask her out on a date and shit, but it turns out she's like a, you know, a white supremacist.
Did she know he was Jewish? Is he quote unquote Jewy enough to?
No, he's actually he's like, she might have got the wrong idea because he's like bald on top, so his head is shaved, so he's like skinhead looking.
He point when he points up to the menu, he like holds all his fingers out.
My ever since we found out, it's always like a joke. This dude I work with, this dude Carlos, who's, despite his name, is not Latin. He's a black dude, and he's got this real funny monotone voice. And he goes to that place and gets his breakfast every day, and he's like, man, I tell her, man, you know, I want my sandwich, and I just sit there and look at her making it. She's like a Nazi or whatever, and it's just it's kind of funny. I'm surprised they let her. I mean, it's just like blatant. I mean, maybe they don't know what all this shit means. I wouldn't have known, but
they probably didn't know what it meant until a couple months deep, maybe even a year deep, and she's already proven herself to be a good worker. And I guess if you I don't know if this is true or not. I don't know. I was gonna say to fire her for her tattoos being ideological tattoos. I don't know. Would maybe be considered fucked up.
That I don't know. I don't know if that. I can see like if she's a good employee.
But that's like Nazi shit is different than like.
Yeah, it's like hate shit.
But then again, like who's to say, dude? What if you had a fucking Jesus cross and that was offensive to people? Who are you to tell me what I can and can't be offended by? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I might just be offended by tattoos. Period. In the Bible, it said tattoos are a sin.
I seen that on the internet, like people like where there'll be like tattoos of Bible verses. And then, like on the internet, I'll just point out that have the Bible verse about tattoos, whatever that is.
Yeah.
That is. But yeah, no, it's definitely it's an interesting, lots of kind of funny conversation about this sandwich Nazi chick. It's kind of funny.
She probably really likes putting the bagels in the oven.
Jesus Christ, that's fucked up. But
she probably. Trying to make another fucking joke. I can't think of a good, like, what else did Nazis do? Does she do, I don't know.
Experiments on, we go in there and she tries to do experiments on us. You know, the Nazi twin experiments.
Oh, hey.
She lives, I know from Jay-Z talking to her.
Is there a gypsy type of food?
I don't know. If she but didn't they kill all the people that were handicapped? Like if she makes a sandwich and there's like some kind of like, you know, defective sandwich, that should just fucking go straight into
defective, right.
Something wrong.
Or
with
if
that.
there's like or she like puts like anthrax in the matzo ball soup. Some shit, I don't know, man, whatever. Bear with me, you know?
Yeah.
Bear with me. I'm doing shit on the fly here, Chris, you know? Bear with me. What else was that? What is that? Was that on her titties go a long way?
But the point is that's
so her titties are nice.
Yeah, she does have nice titties, and my point
are they just like
that
are they milky white Aryan,
beautiful Aryan? They would be perfect for suckling white children.
the purest white breast.
They have a polo shirt, and she always leaves hers like all the way unbuttoned with like the obviously like, hey, look at my cleavage. You know, nice
for tips. You think she does it for tips?
Possibly.
Do they have a tip jar?
I think she does it so someone can see I can, to attract a nice Nordic Aryan man that can see that she's able to produce the children. That's what the 1488 is like the 88 is HH, Hail Hitler, and then the 14 is I don't remember it verbatim, but it's some type of sentence that has 14 words that is like their manifesto, and it's something like blah blah blah. We strive to keep the world safe for our white children. Is like this weird manifesto. So that's why she has her titties out, so she can get some white man to see that she's a good, Aryan racist person.
That's interesting.
Somehow, that's the theory.
Hitler, man, he wasn't even German. He was Austrian.
Wasn't he part
Austrian.
Jewish or something too? Like
he didn't even live in Germany. He never went to Germany until he was like 25 or something.
Do you know this from your experience as a German celebrity?
I do. Nah, they don't talk about that shit over there, man.
Yeah.
That shit is so, like, touche to bring up over in Germany.
Touche.
Like, not touche. What was the word I was thinking? That's fucked up. I just fucked that up. I don't read much. What's the word I'm looking for?
Taboo.
Fuck. God damn it. I hate failing that epically when it comes to vocabulary.
Touche.
Taboo.
Taboo.
Cliche, man.
Yeah.
Cliche.
All right, what's the next on your list? Sorry for all that Nazi talk.
No, I mean, it was interesting. Big old Nazi titties.
Yeah.
That's a question. Interesting segue. Somebody we know who is a black man. There's this girl that we've been like, it kind of has been in our circle up in LA, kind of. This girl, she's actually Pakistani, right? She's a Pakistani girl. She is, what the fuck? Why is, her titties are ridiculous.
Okay.
Her titties are like fucking incredible. She has incredible titties.
Mm-hmm.
And
Rakistani.
that's what Dom said. It already been said. Already been said. Hopefully she doesn't listen. There's no fucking way she listens to this. But she's cool, I guess. She's cool. Not even cool, in case she listens to this. She's cool. She's a cool chick, but she has a...
She a Islamabad... No, fucking Islamabad bitch. Never mind.
No.
Sorry.
No, I didn't mean no as in she's not bad. I meant no as in your joke. It
was horrible. As soon as I started saying it, I was like, no, it doesn't. No.
But she is from the Bay, specifically Oakland. So you can guess what words she says that in any area. For anybody that doesn't know, there's two places. The main one being Oakland, California. The second one being like certain areas in New York, the Bronx, especially where like non-black people say the N-word.
Yeah.
And Oakland especially because in New York it's like most like Hispanic people.
Puerto Rican people say it in New York, and it's generally people are.
I mean, I hear people saying. I see a lot of like Koreans in LA say it and shit like that, but not out like, that's still kind of like behind closed doors. But this girl is from Oakland, so just like Creation and V Nasty and them, she says the shit like it ain't shit.
Yeah,
says it all the time. And EOM.
I knew it would be EOM.
Yeah. God, I shouldn't be talking about this. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. But he doesn't like that shit. But the question is like,
can she get a pass due to the breasts?
The titties, yeah. And there wasn't any. I'm not going to go any further with it, but that just makes you wonder. It kind of makes you just think about it from the perspective of a man. How hot does a girl have to be for you to just transcend all racial whatever?
Dude, no, exactly.
And there's a level of sex is such a weird, perverted thing that maybe you take it out on her. You know what I mean? I don't know.
No, and with the Nazi chick, we had the same. Me and Jay-Z, the guy had. I'm sure he doesn't listen to this. We had the discussion of like, well, how hot would she have to be for you to say, well, I don't care.
Right.
I don't care about your Nazism. We may not agree on that, but we have other similar interests.
We may not agree on the whole me and everybody like me should be exterminated from the planet. We might not agree with that. But gardening, yeah, I love begonias.
She loves hiking.
All right, my next thing on my little list was when I was at Astro Burger. Great, by the way, anybody in the LA area, there's a couple different chains. Astro Burger, if you want to get just a fucking burger and French fries, nowhere better. Besides, some Fat Burger's pretty good too, but Astro Burger's more.
I've never been to either.
It's a great fucking burger, dude.
The Fat Burger in PB doesn't exist anymore. The main, I'm pretty sure that shit doesn't exist. Anyway, I've never been to Fat Burger or Astro Burger.
Astro Burger's better. But they're right across the street from each other on Santa Monica Boulevard, both walking distance from my studio. Anyway, I was at Astro Burger, and the chick at the Astro Burger she was working behind the counter, And I was just like, I was actually in a really good mood when I went in there. And I was just like, hey, how you doing? You know, like sometimes you're in a good mood and you talk real nice to people. And I was in that kind of mood, and she had one of those looks in her eyes. And what I called it on this little fucking notepad is that, quote, one little fucking thing will make me quit my job right now. Look in her eye. And I just saw it immediately because I've had so many jobs that I'm like, I'm really. What's that?
My shit's running out of space, man.
What's it say?
654 megabytes free, and it was like 4 gigs.
That's weird. Maybe you have your shit set on like a really high level.
We might want to pause and I'll delete something and we'll keep talking.
All right. Well,
not to interrupt the flow, but
whatever. That chick was having a really shitty day, and I just noticed on her face that I knew that face and I knew that feeling when you're at your job and it's like that. It's one of those days where like your whole day consists of I'm quitting, and your head.
I've been there.
I'm fucking quitting today.
I'm
fucking quitting today. And sometimes you do,
especially at that kind of job, at a restaurant type job where you're like, yeah. I wish you'd say something to me.
Yeah,
boss.
yeah.
I wish you'd say something to me.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So you can do something epic to quit.
Yeah.
All right, let's just stop it. People listening won't even know we're stopped. It'll just be like fucking, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You ain't gotta ask me when I'm ready. I'm always ready. I'm ready to talk. I'm ready for the podcast. I'm ready to rock. What were we talking about? Now the technical difficulties are all fixed.
Yeah, I had a slight technical difficulty.
We're talking about basically the feeling that you get when you want to quit your job. I've had it many times. We don't have to go into this if you don't want to, but I'm asking, and fuck it. When you have a job that might not be what you thought you were going to do when you were a kid and you dreamed about being a paleontologist or an astronaut or maybe a marine biologist, you know, the kind of jobs that kids think about. What's up with that? Marine biologist and paleontologist, archaeologist, astronaut, shit like that.
Marine biologist is a big one. Like,
yeah.
When I grow up, I want to be a marine biologist so that I can study the whales and play with their dolphins.
Playing with the dolphins.
Yeah. That's not. I mean, it's not bad.
Now you are what? What is your title?
First of all, let me clarify. My current job, I've never had that feeling of like where I'm so pissed off that like someone would say something and I'm gonna quit.
And, that's what I was gonna ask you.
First of all, I would say that since I had children, my job is so, and my income is so important that I can't. If I did that, as soon as I did, I'd fucking just cry.
Right.
Great. All right, now my family can't eat. And there's a certain point. You have to have a job where you sort of could afford to lose it, or at least you really, really hate it, or you don't give a fuck. And I think like once you're a parent and or not even a parent, even if you're just like, if you're supporting someone else in any way, shape, or form with your job, you have to give a fuck more about it. I've had jobs, especially because I've worked at a shitload of restaurant jobs. It's always those jobs, and where I've been at the breaking point. You know, I'd never snapped though. I never had it. I remember one particular day I was like at this place up in San Diego where I was like I had like 3 or 4 jobs at the time. I was teaching English. I had left the job I was working. I went into a career to teach English as a second language. I was working doing that. I was working like at this part-time like internet company doing some dumb shit for a couple $100 a month too. I was also working at this restaurant, which is where I was actually making the most money. And that place, I was fucking just there was 2 dudes that owned it, and one of them was just a horrible person. And one day I was like convinced I was going to quit, and I was just waiting for that dude to say something to set me off, and he was just for some reason nice that day, and I ended up staying. But my current job, I work. I guess I'm a network engineer, really. So I do like computer networking shit, and I don't love it. It's not my passion. If anyone out there works in that industry, you probably can tell some people are just fucking. That's what they love to do. They go home from work and they want to set up a network at their house, or if they're network any computer job. Like people are passionate about, you know, programming or fucking systems engineering or whatever it is that they do. And I don't have that. I just do it because it's a good career path. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm that's what
do you
I
see
sort of
that?
have
Do you see
gone
that
into.
being? Do you see that being your thing, or do you see any other possibilities in your realms? You know what I'm saying? Like I know you have an album about to come out. You actually, it's pretty much really done now. Like it's mastered and everything. You got the artwork. You're just finalizing, putting the finishing touches on everything.
Yeah.
But you don't see that as something like.
I don't see that as like something that's gonna really like totally change my life. I highly doubt it would be something that would make me quit my job. Not saying that it couldn't happen, but
I think with the attitude that you're approaching it with, it wouldn't. And also, unless you had some hit take off, you know, if you had some shit take off like fucking Macklemore Thrift Shop or something, like that'd be one thing.
Possible,
but like,
I guess, but
I think a lot of times in that kind of deal, like in the music shit, you kind of got to go all or nothing, you know.
Yeah, I'm to be honest with you, I don't have. It's just like I don't look at it as something where I'm like I'm going all or nothing with this. It's just
I know. I'm not saying you should.
Yeah, and I would think it would be cool to work in music as my job if I were like a dude that I think is. I'm not saying that his day to day is not a struggle, but and I don't know exactly how hard it is. He does have a kid too. His lack of afro, he makes his living doing music, and he's doing stuff for commercials and stuff for TV shows. And
are we missing that show right now?
No, that's a good point though. But it's going to come on in like a half an hour. So
what time to come on?
9:30. We should be done the podcast by
okay.
now. But yeah, Lack of Afro, who is a guy that did 4 of the 12 tracks on my upcoming album. He's done a bunch of shit with Mike and me. Like, look it up. You can.
Mike is my. This is Wax. Mike is my name.
I'm sorry.
By the way. No. I'm just letting people know. People don't know that shit.
Yeah.
Every time I post something that says Mike, they're like, "That your name's Mike?"
Right.
Chris Herbal T's name is Chris. I probably called you Chris a lot.
Probably. But that brief tangent. He did a new show starting today. Today is Wednesday, February 26th, called Mixology. He did I don't know, a bunch of the music or all the music,
I don't think he did all of it.
He did a lot of the music. I know he said he co-wrote the theme. And I think he did a lot of the just like, soundtrack type music.
It's fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. And he does a lot of stuff like that, I think, and he's trying to get more into it maybe. And
it's just not easy, man. To score and make soundtracks, like it's like you not only have to know music, but you have to kind of like know film, like
you do.
Like I don't think I could do that shit because I don't watch enough movies and television.
I would like to try to. I don't see how I could transition into doing something like that. If you watch, his video Recipe for Love, where they're in the studio and he's playing and shit like that, his like whole setup is tight. I would. It just seems like a pretty good gig. That said, any musician, unless you're like, unless you're Questlove and you're on the Tonight Show, you don't have music is not going to be a steady gig. It's rare that it's something. I met a dude the other day who lives in San Diego and makes a living playing music, but what he does is just like all local gigs. Like he plays here on Sunday, here on Tuesday, here on Wednesday, and just gets a couple $100, and like he makes pretty good money. But then like all of a sudden someone's like, you know what, this gig's not going to work. You're just dependent on that gig. He was saying how he doesn't have health insurance and like.
Oh, most people that do music do not have health insurance.
No,
that's very rare that people. I mean, there's people high up in the game. Like, you might be like Beyonce's guitar player. You ain't got no fucking health insurance. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's a tough gig to make it in, and I don't really want to have the with the kids and everything. I want to be able to know how much money I have coming in and have some level of steady income that I got a budget, you know what I'm saying? I gotta know, like, I gotta pay for all this certain things or whatever. So, despite all the shit, I am passionate about music, and in the sense of, I think for me, it's actually, and you could probably talk about this too, it's kind of freeing for me that it's not my job. Like, I've been working on this album for like 3 years, just by doing, a couple hours of work a week, and for me, it's all like I can since it's not work per se. I feel like I have more freedom to do whatever the fuck I want, and I'm not worried about the outcome as much. I'm just like, I want to make it exactly how I am, and not need to have any pressure. You know what I mean? Pressure that it's going to make money or pressure that my song is going to be a hit or anything. I just have fun with it and do whatever I want. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's hard to do that once you do this. Once you do this shit for a living, it's tough because like you feel like everything has to be amazing or better than your last thing, and then not only that, for me the problem is like the whole reason that I want, not the whole reason, I mean the number one reason I do music is because I just love doing music, but the number two reason is because I don't want to have a fucking job.
Yeah.
And once it becomes like this job, it's like fuck. Like I don't want it to be a job. I don't want to be like, oh, I gotta work. Oh fuck, I gotta work. Like it should be like fuck yeah, I gotta have fun. Like it's not like once you look at it as work, it's work. You know. And,
exactly. And I'm
trying to get away from that now. I'm trying to like not ever view music as work now.
Yeah. And I'm never.
It's tough to do though.
I'm not looking at it like that. So it's like for me, everything I've been doing is just fun, or at least the editing and meticulous shit is not always. I mean, it is kind of fun though. You know what I mean? Like making shit. Editing shit together. It can be fun, but it's not like for me. It's a mixture of leisure and work. I mean, but it's not work at all in the sense of like a job where I'm relying on it to fucking, pay my bills or something.
Right.
Although I'm not rich by any means, and hopefully I can at least get some kind of pay a little bit of debt off or something, and maybe put some money away for the kids or something with the album. Once it inevitably goes.
Music is crazy
platinum.
too. Music is crazy too because like I was talking to AK about this the other day. Like, it took me some fucking years of struggling to make shit happen for myself. But like, the interesting thing about it is now I probably make more money doing music than I would have if I had stuck with my shitty regular. Not saying my regular job was shitty. Your regular job right now is a good regular job. My regular jobs are usually more shitty. If I'd stuck with those, I'd be doing less good. But it took,
for certain people,
it took like a bunch of rolls of the dice to make it happen. And the crazier thing about it is, if you think like if anybody out there would think that I'm doing good. Imagine if I have a couple like huge smash hit songs. You know what I'm saying? What's crazy is like you never know if once you get to a certain level, you never know how close you are to being ridiculously successful or just fucking completely failing. I don't fucking know. Mm-hmm. I wrote that. That brings me to the last thing I wrote down on my list.
Go for it.
I was in the laundromat the other day. The one washer and dryer that we have at my little apartment complex. I went down to the washing machine. I put a load of laundry in there. I came down. It was fucking dry. There was no water in the washing machine. And my landlord was like, "Oh, this shit's broken, blah, blah, blah." And I wanted to do all my laundry. So I like my blankets, my pillows, my pillowcases, my towels. So I just went to the laundromat. And at the laundromat, they were playing K-Earth. K-Earth is a station which plays like kind of like classics. Like while I was there, they played Jump by Van Halen. Angel is a centerfold. They played like Between the Sheets by the Ozzy Brothers, and they played Paradise City by Guns N' Roses, which is the one that really made me think like, God damn, Paradise City. Take me down to the Paradise City where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. Won't you please take me home? And those chord changes,
sure.
They wrote that shit, and now fucking 30 years later, it's on at the laundromat. Everybody in the fucking laundromat and in the nation. Maybe with the exception of super young people, like know that song. Young people might not know Paradise City, but it was a classic fucking song. And I was saying, what would be sick? First of all, I was like saying it's much. This goes on to what we were saying. Like you think to yourself like it's like, well, I should just write a song like that, and like they didn't think like that when they wrote that song. They just fucking wrote it because they weren't trying. You know what I'm saying? And my point was like. It'd be sick if I wrote just like a song like that. If somehow I wrote like a Paradise City, like some huge song, and then after that, my goal now, this is what I'm saying my goal is.
You were telling me about
to make $1 million, fire everybody around me, and just put all the $1 million in like a bank account, buy a really small house. But then what I didn't tell you is my ultimate goal, and this is in all capital letters, is to make the most complicated rap song of all time. the most complicated rap song
of
all time.
All time.
Like I'm talking about like
I do think it's funny that
I'm talking about like the Quentin Tarantino movie meets ridiculously amount of fucking metaphors and fucking multi-syllable rhymes and just weird, crazy use of the English language. Like I'm gonna have to read books and shit before I even start the work on this most complicated rap song of all time.
Is this going to be just a standard song, or are you talking about like some concept long?
Not about hooks. No, I'm just the raps. And the beat might switch to go with the different moods and shit. Especially because there's going to be like foreshadowing, flashbacks, and all elements of any good movie or tale are going to be involved in this rap song. It's going to be the most complicated rap song of all time.
That sounds like something that would take a long time.
Yeah, that's why I'll have to get the $1 million first from my Paradise City, and then fire everybody around me.
Now, all the people
that
hear this that are currently working with you, knowing that if you hit success, you're going to fire them all.
I'm not talking about Brian Washington, not my manager.
I wasn't implying Brian Washington.
Not my manager.
He's the only one that would listen to this.
Well, he'd be happy that I made $1 million. He'd be good with his cut, you know. Right, he'd be like, all right, man, make that shit complicated as fuck. I don't know, do your thing. That's what he'd say, you know. But he'd be happy that I had the Paradise City. And he knows that even while I was writing the most complicated rap song of all time, I'd probably still do things that were good. And maybe some of my other songs, I don't know. I don't even know if I'm going to do this. I just thought it would be fun.
So you'd write one of the simplest poppy songs of all time, then the most complicated rap songs.
That's the point. That's the paradigm. Paradigm was the wrong word.
Take me down to the Paradigm City.
Oh fuck! You know what? Is that the right time on there?
Yeah. Oh, do we need to get the questions?
I'll pull them up on my email right now.
You have all that shit prepared? All your questions?
Yeah, I do. It's not. Yeah, there actually were a few this week, huh? There weren't that many shout-outs, but there were a few questions. I think most of the questions this week were like rap, like music questions.
Right,
there might have been one or two relationship questions. There might have been one or two of them. Let me pull it out. LOL. All right, shout-outs. I'm still not caught up, by the way. For anybody out there, I'm still like probably 1 month exactly behind on the emails. But that's getting closer. But that's good because like now I'm just kind of like I think because I'm fucking up a little bit, less people email me now. So by the way, beatsforwax@gmail.com. That's if you want to email me a question or just get shout out or whatever you want to do. I respond to everybody. It just takes a long time for me to respond, and that anybody listening to this that's emailed me could attest to that fact that I will respond to you. But if you email me within the past month, I just might not have fucking read the email yet. But I just go through from like where right now it's like the end of January, and I go back. You're not paying attention to me.
I'm listening to you.
No. But I go back to the end of January, and I just go from like least recent to however many that takes me to get some good questions, and then I stop. Right. And then next, what I'm saying. So I don't have that many shout-outs this week. Dude in the Air Force who is stationed in Japan that didn't put his name on the email. Evergreen, a.k.a. Cooter. Aaron the Violinist. Garrett C. Jen from Columbus. Mike and his son. Mike and his son Ryan. Mike and his son Ryan. Mike and his son Ryan came to the show in Houston and had a great time for coming out to the show. Sent me a picture that I got with Ryan at the show. He emailed me because he was like, I hope you're listening, Mike. Mike emailed me before the show to be like, yo, is it safe to bring my kids to this show? And of course I got the email like 3 months after the show already happened and shit. And he sent me like a response back like, dude, thanks for responding. We had a great time at the show. Here's a picture that you took with my son Ryan. Dude, the show in Houston was so sick too. That was one of our best shows, the Wintervention Tour. Probably the best shows of the the one with Dumb and Breezy were L.A., New York, maybe Chicago, and Houston. Houston was crazy. All the West Coast shows were good though. Seattle, Portland, San Fran. All the West Coast shows were good. All the fucking shows were good. I shouldn't even say it like that to like put it. Whatever.
You should say the worst shows.
The worst show was Atlanta. Straight up. It wasn't the crowd's fault. It was my fault. I was fucking sick. I barely remember doing that show. I was so fucking... I was like on so many non-prescription drugs that it was like a dream, you know? Like I wasn't like getting in touch, like, you know, you connect with the audience, like during and in between songs, like when you just make a connection. Like I just didn't connect, man.
You just had to like get through it, kind of.
Yeah, I just didn't connect.
It happens, man. It happens. I'm sure the people in Atlanta understand.
And some people enjoy. I'm sure people. I think like the songs were still played. You know, people still sang it. Like I don't know. You know.
Yeah.
Jen from Columbus, Mike and his son Ryan in Houston. Thanks for coming at the show. Cordless, Will O, Moises R, and Jimmy from Fairbanks. All right. This question is from Dominic O. I think this is actually a recommendation. Hey Wax, on the last podcast, Dumbfounded said something about why doesn't anybody make a relatable song about turning down? Well, it's funny he said that because there's a good song by Audio Push called Turn Down. And upon getting this email, I actually listened to that song and the shit was tight. So I officially, not only does Dominique O recommend that, but I recommend that. I'd never even heard of Audio Push before.
That sounds familiar to me, but I don't really know. I can tell you this about the Herbal T album. Little plug. I've been listening to it the full thing, and it's like it's a party album. Like a lot of shit is very partyable. And then I'll go ahead and give this away. The last song is like a turn down, and like that's how I intended it to be. It's like
but it's
like
not about turning down.
It's not at all about turning down, but the function of it is like this party, and then it's like a turn down. You know
Yeah.
Intentionally,
not only does it feel like the end of the party, but it's kind of about the end of the party if you think about it. You're there by yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, great song. I'm looking forward to what people say about that album. I'm not even what people say, because I know there's going to be people out there that heavily fuck with it, and some people it might be like, you know, I don't know. This isn't what I was expecting. I was expecting what I consider to be what I know as hip-hop, you know? But this shit, dude, your album's sick. It's going to be fucking sick.
Yeah, it's gonna be, if people, it's not gonna be like I told you today I streamed, and I don't listen to a lot of like new music, but today by chance I streamed the new Pharrell album and I streamed the Rick Ross album too, so it's not gonna sound anything like, well, like the Rick Ross, like the beats that you would hear on a Rick Ross album, not gonna sound anything like that. Pharrell actually it isn't that far off from that shit. But.
All right.
Not going to sound like any other modern rap album that it's popular.
I think a lot of people think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
This is from Cornelius. Hey, Wax, I've praised you a ton before, so I'll get to the question instead. I appreciate that, Cornelius. As the topic would suggest, it's purely hypothetical. The topic was hypothetical question. I always thought there should be an interview segment that's called Hypothetically Speaking, where you interview somebody and it's just hypothetical questions, like what would you do if blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? That'd be sick.
Yeah.
But speaking of cool interview pieces, my man Nate at Refined Hype does the Drinker View, 3 shots.
I saw yours.
Yeah,
he has a series. He has
of it. He has Gene Gray on there. He has Jaron Benton on there from Funk Volume. A bunch of other dudes that I'm not sure about because they haven't all come out yet.
Jean Grey's on there though.
Yeah.
She seems like she probably.
But he just put out like a trailer for it, so go check that out. RefinedHype.com, and mine is already out, but it's cool. It asks you 3 questions. In between each question, you take a shot. You know. What the fuck was I talking about? As the topic would suggest, it's purely hypothetical. But seeing as you have done features with obscure rappers like D Pride and Android. What would be required to either feature on your song or get a verse from you on one's own song? As mentioned in other messages I've sent, I have a cousin who raps. And that kind of collab would first of all be the pinnacle of his rather short career. Damn, that's fucking... And the answer is met with thanks. Oh wait, you were saying rather short career because he's only been doing it for a while. Like, the pinnacle is in like... I was thinking pinnacle of a rather short career is like really not looking forward to the future too optimistically. You know what I'm saying? But let me start by saying D Pride. I wouldn't put D Pride as an obscure rapper necessarily. D Pride has a lot of fans. Plus, when I did a thing with him, that was fucking 6 years ago. He was 14 years old on the Liquid Courage album. Did you know that?
Yeah.
14. And he was a kid on YouTube.
He was killing it. He
too. He murdered that shit. And he was a dude on YouTube just like I was. You know what I mean? And Android is like my homie. Android is like my friend. You know? So, as far as what would be required to feature on a song or get a verse from me on your song. People always ask me that, like people always ask me what's the price, and I know a lot of rappers out there like they have a set price, like it's whatever to get a feature or whatever. But I don't have a price. I don't do many features. I should probably do more, but I just do it if it's cool. You know, if I like it, I'll do it. Like I look at it less about making money and more about I'm not gonna do a whack verse. Like I'm not gonna do a verse on a whack song because you gave me $1,000 or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Fuck that.
I was gonna ask you a question, but I already thought of it. Like,
it's much more important to like associate with dopeness than to make a quick.
Have you done that where you do just like straight up like get contracted to do verses? I mean, we did that one time with the Kazahaya, the Japanese guy.
Yeah. That was different for many reasons.
Yeah.
Because it was a pretty good price, and at that time it was for me at least. It was like, damn, I really need this money. And B, it was just tight.
Yeah, it was tight.
It goes along. It just goes say like he had 2 tracks, and there was like, fuck yeah, we'll work on this shit. And his shit was dope, and it was a cool collaboration. It was, but like then there's other times where like I did a verse for Consequence on one of his songs. It's like I'm not gonna charge him. Like it was a good look for me to be on a song with him. But that nobody ever reaches out to me to get a verse from me. That never fucking happens. But
well, I think some people probably, I don't fucking know, but I would imagine that some rappers that are like around where you're at are probably more like, you know, one of their things they do is just reach out. Let me get on that. Let me get on that. I would think.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
Or their managers.
A lot of people are like, shit, just about everybody that raps is better than me at like doing like collaborations. Like I don't do that shit enough, you know. But some people only do that. But it works for some people. I mean, for some people, it's actually more important to do that than to do an album. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. But as far as your cousin who raps, Cornelius, send me beatsforwax@gmail.com. Send me a link or something. All right, this next one is from Kareem K. I wanted to ask you a question for you to talk about in the podcast, man. The song Straight to Paradise is my favorite song off Continue. Is there any story behind that song? Was there any serious events or something that had inspired you to write it? It's a super dope track. Maybe part 2 of this question would be, what's your favorite song off Continue and why? I don't know why I picked this song. Straight to Paradise is kind of depressing. That song is about being depressed alcoholic and not giving a fuck about life, basically. And just like and in that one, it's kind of like my life is actually kind of going pretty good. Why do I feel so bad? You know? And I
think that's a great song, though.
Especially
the end when you get all like when you like take it up a notch, you know, in the last
sometimes
verse.
I think it's just about thinking too much. A lot of it is about how much time, like it's that end of the loan. It's like too much time alone. All I think about is death. Like that's really depressing sounding, but like that's fucking true. I spend a lot of time alone, and like that's probably why I watch these these gloom and doom documentaries, because I think about like the point of life, mm-hmm. and why are we here and shit. Like I think about that while I'm sitting by myself all the time, and I haven't drank in 17 days, but normally I'm fucked up too. And I think alcohol is technically a depressant. So if you always fill yourself with a depressant, wouldn't you be probably depressed? I don't know.
That's true, weird. Yeah.
My favorite song off Continue is the song Continue. Why? Because I just think that's... You know what? I've talked to you about this, or I don't necessarily always know why my own... Like when I'm talking about songs that I do myself, I don't always know why I like a song more than the others. But I can the only way that I judge it by that being my favorite, because I listen to it the most. Yeah. There's certain songs that I've done that after it's done, I'll sit there and listen to my own song 1,000 times, and I just want to listen to it over and over and over and over and over again. And for that album, the song Continue was like that. Maybe it holds something special that I kind of produced it and thought of most of it myself, and I really like the lyrics. I like the feel of it.
I like that song too. I know that's the test of like the non-biased test where you don't have to like sort of ask yourself why or whether you like something. just fucking which one is the one. What do you actually play when you're trying to listen to music?
But it's weird too because it's not always. Like for me, like the depressing songs I make, Straight to Paradise being a great example. Like I don't sit there and listen to Straight to Paradise. Probably my most popular song, at least as far as what people say, the most liked song as far as my entire like blah 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 career, besides Rosanna, which was like a pop hit kind of deal, was Music and Liquor. Like that's the song that people talk to me about most, that like helped them and all this shit. Like I never listened to that song. You know what I'm saying? I never listened to it. Like I like for myself, I like as far as my own listening value, I like to listen to the happy ones, the uplifting ones. You know what I'm saying? But I wrote those on like the depressing ones. I wrote on some real ass shit. Like the writing was done because like I meant it, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily, like once I get it out, I don't need to listen to it.
I think that's probably. I would bet if you asked
like We Can't All Be Heroes, I don't listen to.
If you asked a lot of other people that make songs like that, like depressing shit, they probably just you got to pour your heart out and do it. But it's more about the release than the like going back and listening to it, because like usually you might not want to like, listen to it over and over, but the shit that makes you feel good is what you want to listen to.
Right.
But your fans, on the other hand,
and other people,
you might want to listen to someone else's
other
shit
people's depressing shit. I love to listen to.
Yeah.
But my own, I don't want to hear it myself fucking cry. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I want to hear myself be like inspirational or whatever the fuck. This one's from Jonas R. All right. I tried to write a long email about how I love almost every song you put out. I got to 19 songs and I thought even I didn't want to read through it. Well, I appreciate that. What I make in a month after rent, food, and beer would take me about 2 years to get my ass to the USA, and I don't have time to save because I'm terrible at saving money. Oh wait, fuck. This dude is from. When I copied and pasted the email, I didn't get his name. I mean, his email says from Jonas R. But I can't remember where Jonas R is from. I can't remember like what country he's from. I want to say he's from either Poland or the Czech Republic or something like that. I don't know. But now my question for the podcast: I got friends that are the same age as me and younger, telling me to quote unquote grow up. I'm going to school, doing good, but when Friday comes, I'm, quote, turning up, or just drinking a beer and just chilling out. My question is, and I think I know the answer, at what age am I, quote, too old, unquote, to drink a couple of beers on a Friday when I get off, when I finally get a day off? I'm 22, by the way, and got a relationship with a girl that doesn't mind me. Just taking a day off when it's weekends. Oh, doesn't mind me just taking a day off when it's weekends. 7 years relationship also. So she know me. And got 2 years left on her law studies. Oh, fuck. I can't. Fuck. My bad, Jonas. I forgot where you're from, man. I just didn't copy and paste the, like, from blah, blah, blah out part of the email. I think if you're 22 and you're working and you get off a day on the weekend and you want to drink beer, I think there's zero wrong with that.
I think the answer to his question, how old is too old? There's never a too old.
Never.
I just think there's never a too old.
If that was every day and you excessively, I mean,
if you're talking about getting annihilated, it's different. You saying have a few beers after work on a Friday?
On a Friday.
Why would you ever be too old for that?
I mean, you heard it from Herbal T. I don't really need to say anything else. You heard it from him, Jonas. Thanks for the email. This one's from Dwight G. in Toronto. Hey, what's up, Michael? Been a while since I wrote you an email, but I've been addicted to the podcast. Really glad you're back to the routine, man. Well, so am I, and I'm trying to stick with it. I'm not the best at sticking to a routine, but I'm on episode 50, so, now we got to make it to 100, right? Your trip to Puerto Rico must have been plenty fun. Anyway, I'm stoked to hear that... Is that a Canadian thing? Plenty fun.
I don't know.
It must have been plenty fun.
I would never say that, so maybe it is
Canadian
or sometimes there's shit that's like Canadian / it could be said in places near Canada like Minnesota, or if he's from Toronto, then like upstate New York.
Yeah, I just watched the movie Fargo the other night for I hadn't seen it in years. It's on Netflix right now, dude. The way they talk in that movie is so sick, dude. That's a fucking awesome movie. Anyway, I'm stoked to hear that you're working on a new album and another Wax and EOM project would be legendary. Anyway, here's my question for you. If you were to go to the strip club, how much money would you bring there to make it rain on dem women's? Or maybe wouldn't you bring any money at all? Think about it. All right, there you go. And lastly, on the last podcast with DFD and Anderson .Paak was one of the best podcasts that I've ever heard from you. You should probably get EOM and Herbal T to guest on some future podcasts as well. Well, wasn't what half of your dream or wish granted with this podcast? And we were just talking about that before we hit record on this one. We were talking about that. Like, some people hit me up and they're like, dude, you shouldn't have guests, just talk by yourself. And some people are like, yo, it's way better when you have guests. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I'm just gonna vary it up every time. I'll try to do it like we did it from the studio with Dumb and Breezy. Do it from here with you.
I think it's good to have a different, how you change. I've listened to podcasts, and it's good to have a format where you're doing the same thing every time, or it's good to vary it up. I mean, whatever.
What was how much money would I bring to the strip club? If you were to go he said, this is exactly how he worded it. If you were to go to a strip club, how much money would bring there to make it rain on dem, D-E-M, women's, W-O-M-E-N-Z, comma, or maybe you wouldn't bring any money at all, question mark. If I was going to a strip club, like, let's say I was some friends and we're like, let's go to the strip club on a regular night, nobody's bachelor party, nothing like that, I would bring...
I don't even want to answer, because people would be like, man... I don't.
I'd bring $100. I'm not a strip club goer. I never go to strip clubs. I never go to strip clubs.
$100.
Strip club is just, you feel like you're just getting hustled. Like,
I can't spend money at a strip club. I have too many fucking. Every dollar I put in there for the girl, I'd be like, man, what the fuck am I doing? I couldn't. I would bring $20 in ones.
Every dollar in their panties is a dollar out of your kids' diapers.
That's right. I mean, it'd be different if you're like rich and have money to spare and you can just, I guess.
I don't have any interest in strip clubs because, and that's not true because, like, dude, last time we were in Portland. It was actually fucking Christmas night, and we were in a strip club and we had a fucking great time. And I love going to strip clubs in some cases when you're with a bunch of your friends.
It can be fun.
I'm definitely. I will never be one of those people that's like an old guy that goes to the strip club by himself and like is a regular and like tries to hit on the chicks. It's just like it's just such an obvious hustle,
Yeah.
And I don't really want to talk to those chicks. Like, if I want to talk to a chick at a bar, it's gonna be a chick that like I kind of feel like I have a chance with, or like at least I just want like I think she's at least talking to me because she wants to, not because she thinks I'm gonna give her $20. Mm-mm. Not that interested in strip clubs, but. If you go with the right people, if you go with a group of friends just having a good time, strip clubs can be fucking awesome.
But if I really wanted to make it rain on dem women's, I'd bring several $1,000s.
I'd go. I don't have kids, so I'll go with $100.
No, I'm going to go with $20 in ones.
Okay, fair enough. This one is from. This looks like this is the last one. This is from Johnny. Johnny, that's it.
Hey there, Johnny.
Hey, Wax, Johnny here. My actual name is Hansa, but I don't know if you can say it right there. He didn't actually write that. He says, hey, Wax, Johnny here. My actual name is Hansa, but I don't know if you can say it right. Then smiley face. That's why I said, I've been following you there since Ray William Johnson mentioned you in one of those... I've been following you since Ray William Johnson mentioned you in one of his early Equals 3 shows. A lot of people say that to me, man. I fucking owe that dude for that. I just wanted to say that your awesome music made it to our middle European country, the Czech Republic, and we love you here. My question for the podcast are these two. The first one is, where do you get your inspiration or drive to make music from? Do you have some kind of process or mental state that you get into? I hope you know what I mean. And the other one is somewhat of general wondering. I've been in Amsterdam the day you performed there. I think it was the 5th of June, 2013. Because me and my family were there to visit my brother who worked there at the time. And I don't know if I'm fooling myself or whatever, but I was walking down some street in the morning, like 11 or 12ish, around the European lunchtime, and I saw a guy through a window in one of the restaurants, and he looked like you, and he was surrounded by two black guys, which in my mind were Brian and EOM. I thought of going there and check him out because I was convinced it was you. So my question is, could it be you? And if I walked up there and it were you, would you talk to me or tell me to go fuck myself? that quote there, I remember, was why I decided to answer his question.
Yeah.
Thank you for answering, because I'm mad at myself for not going there, and sorry for my English. Nah, man, your English is way the fuck better than me trying to speak your language. I don't even know what language they speak in the Czech Republic, to be honest.
Really, dude?
Russian?
Jesus Christ.
Czech? Czech is a
Dog,
language?
we speak Czech in the Czech Republic.
Czech is a language?
Yes, Czech is a language.
You should probably check on that.
Jesus. It's a Slavic language. Has a lot in common with Slovak, which is not the same as Czech.
What does a Czech speak that moves to Australia? Checkmate.
No. With that time me and Yes went to Europe, we learned like the hello and all those languages, and they're all similar, like Dobar Dan, Dobry Den, Dzień dobry. That's Polish, Dzień dobry, and Dobar Dan and Dobry Den are Czech and Slovak.
I feel like a dick now, especially to you, Johnny, but I did not know that Czech was a language. I thought that'd be Russian or a derivative of Russian or Polish.
You need to check your geography because it ain't necessarily.
I need to check my Czech.
You need to check yourself before you.
Sorry about that. I exposed my ignorance, but you know what?
It's all good, man. It's all good.
You got to understand, everybody over there in Europe or in really various other parts of the world, you have to understand that the United States geographically is much larger than the entire continent of Europe. You know? Geographically. Especially if you include Canada. And besides like that little pocket of Canada, we all speak English. You can travel for miles and miles and miles and we all speak English. So it's hard for me to think.
Kilometers and kilometers and kilometers over there.
It's hard for us. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to think about other languages. You know, for most of us, for our entire lives, you know.
Some of us, such as Herbal T, are worldly and well-traveled and understand many things about the world, but have twin brothers that aren't.
There's shit I know that you don't know. There's shit I know that you don't know.
Dog, you've been to fucking Europe a shitload of times, and you think they speak Russian in Czech Republic?
I've never been to the Czech Republic.
You've been right next to there, though.
Sorta. I've never been to the Czech Republic.
Okay.
I don't know that they speak Czech.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Keep reading.
I still openly, I'm not going to fucking go back and like act like I knew something I didn't. I didn't know that Czech was a language.
Fair enough. No.
Fucking, whatever,
fair enough.
Man. There's people that would know way less than me. Where do you get your inspiration to try to make music from? That's a tough question. I don't even know the answer to that. It's something that's inherent within you, I think. Because I tried to quit many times and I can't. It's just something that you do. It's something that you're born with, or maybe you raise yourself up to be. You just like to make music. I don't know. Especially like we were talking about this earlier. We have a lot of musician friends, and some people, they like, you know, we have a friend that plays the saxophone, loves to play the fucking saxophone, loves to like jam out or even like just play people's songs. Or I know people that play piano. They just love playing people's songs, and like when they sit down and play piano, they might even be able to play a million fucking songs. Like you could rattle off fucking, you know, names of songs, and they could just play them, like almost like a piano bar kind of guy. You know, they take requests. They can do anything. That's one type of music making. But for me, it's songwriting. I don't know. Like I can play guitar, but if I sat at a guitar and like this has happened to me before, people are like, play a song. You know any blah blah blah? I'm like, nah, I can figure it out maybe. You know, I can maybe figure out blah blah blah, and I might know some certain like pieces of songs. You know, I'll figure out real quick. But like, I don't know. I'm just driven to write songs. You know, I've written a gazillion of them. I don't know. And as far as your question about Amsterdam, that probably was me. If you saw me there the day that I had a show there, I've been in a bunch of restaurants, and you know, I probably was. But you know, EOM was with me and Brian was with me, and if I was quote unquote surrounded by black guys, There might have been. There's other black dudes I traveled with too. Curtis was there with me, the drummer. And I think that me and him, it might have been Curtis actually. Me and Curtis and EOM, I think they might have went out to eat for lunch that day. I don't know, but we were also really high the whole time when we were in Amsterdam, so I don't know what we were doing. But yeah, if you would have walked up to me, I definitely would have told you to go fuck yourself. No, that's not true at all, man. Like people recognize me, I'm happy about it. I'm like, damn, that's fucking awesome. You know, I would
especially
never
on
tell someone anything negative.
On the other side of the globe, like when you're over there, and
more people recognize me there than here.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
Like on the street, like just walking down the street, way more people I mean, maybe not now, since my one fucking hit song is done. Maybe they wouldn't recognize me now, but like when I went over to Germany in the airport, people recognized me. Yeah, I was on mainstream television and shit there. Yeah. Different type of genre of person that recognizes me over there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But hey, that's it. That's the last question.
Word. That show is starting. That
oh shit!
Was on, so we might have missed the intro.
We missed the opening theme. You should have said something.
It's all good. It's all good, man.
Yeah.
We still see it.
All right. Well, reporting to you live from San Diego. Thank you, Urs, for being on the show.
My pleasure.
And be safe out there.